YouTube viewers, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is a show by the people, for the people, and you, my friends, are my people. In today's program, Zelensky and Trump's Oval Office visit, White House visit, turns into a WWE pay-per-view on a dime. We're going to talk about that a little bit today. And Johnny Damon, former Red Sox and Yankees World Series winner, will join the program as well. We got a healthy heaping dose of tweets for you from Super 70 Sports and a lot more. But let's get started with Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James butting heads. LeBron saying recently that he can understand why somebody might not want to be the face of the NBA. Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves saying recently that, maybe being the face of the league isn't something that is very much fun. And LeBron James said that he understood where he was coming from. Stephen A. didn't like that very much. Let's take a look.
Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis shit on everybody? That responsibility, it's just weird. It's weird energy.
Ladies and gentlemen, excuse my language. That's some straight by LeBron James. Straight. I'm getting sick and tired of folks talking about everybody who covers the league on the league. How do we shit on the league? Because some of us don't call LeBron James the GOAT? Because we bring up load management because people come to games sometimes and cats are sitting out and fans don't even know until they arrive at the arena that the cats are sitting out? Is it because All-Star Weekends arrives and folks don't learn that LeBron James is not playing until the last minute? Is it because he's never participated in the slam dunk contest, thereby ruining it because he's the first marquee name with slam dunking ability like that to refuse to participate in an all-star slam dunk contest ever in his career?
Talking about people shitting on the league. Is the problem really that the media shits on the league, or is the problem that the league is shit? If somebody takes a dump in the toilet and they leave a floater and you walk in there and you see it and you say, hey, who took a shit here and didn't flush the toilet? Is that a you problem, or is that a problem of whoever left it there in the first place? LeBron wants to blame the media for the fact that the NBA has a lot of problems, and it just does. The style of play, close to unwatchable. All-stars that don't even want to show up for the All-Star game, or if they do show up, all they want to do is have a laugh and giggle fest and not even get out there and at least pretend to give a shit for a weekend to entertain your fans. The dunk contest, well, that's a complete catastrophe. That doesn't even exist anymore. I haven't watched the dunk contest in forever. Mac McClung, I've seen highlights of what Mac McClung can do, but he's a 3-time slam dunk contest champion who has played 5 games in the fucking league. Has your appetite for Mac McClung tricks been whetted yet? Do you need more? Are you sated? Is that enough acrobatics for you from a guy who is in no way, shape, or form an NBA player? The media is pointing out what the league is given, but don't let that stop you, LeBron. LeBron doubling down with tweets after these comments. Let's take a look as LeBron expounds upon his premise. He says, happy this convo is started. It ain't about the face of the game, and it ain't about one person or one show. It's about the culture of basketball, the most beautiful game in the world. Our game has never been better. Bullshit. Sorry, that's an editorial comment. Incredible young stars from all over the world, older ones too. Steph Curry should be all we're talking about today. Let's discuss how great OKC and the Cavs have been with 2 completely different styles and break down why and how they have. But, well, LeBron, that's not what people are feeling. That's not what people are feeling. LeBron says it ain't about me. At this point, I don't care what's said about me. It's always something. This is about the impact the negativity is having on our beautiful game and our fans. I know I speak for a lot of players and, more importantly, a hell of a lot of great fans who truly love the game. Well, LeBron, you certainly speak for yourself, and you've earned your platform, and you have a right to say what you want to say with the platform that you have established for yourself. But let's not pretend. Let's not pretend that there's not a point here. Let's not pretend that you're being done dirty. Stephen A. commenting further, responding, and saying that what's messed up is the other BS that LeBron is spewing. That folks who cover the game are shitting on the game, critiquing the game, pointing out who's doing and who's not doing is not shitting on the game. Stephen A., you don't have to say bleeping, Stephen. We're not children. It's covering the damn game. Greatness is not only measured, it's compared to other greats. That's the way it's always been. Some can take it, some can't. LeBron has been the one who has called himself the GOAT more times than Michael ever has. Comparisons aren't fair. I saw Charles Barkley say comparisons aren't fair, that the debate between LeBron and MJ. Hey, listen, debates about who the greatest is in sports have been going on since the first sports fans. I'm sure that the ancient Romans were arguing over who the best gladiators were. This motherfucker's the best gladiator. Just, you see how many people he's taken out? Somebody else had a different point to share. What's the greatest paper towel of all time? Well, I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so I'm still convinced it's Bounty. You remember Rosie's Diner? Somebody would come in there. More klutzy, clumsy people spilled shit in this woman's diner than any other establishment on the face of the earth. I swear to God, I can't go one fucking day without some moron like you spilling his shit all over my diner. Here's a roll of Bounty. Take the unexpectedly small amount of this superior product you'll require to absorb this train wreck and then shove the rest of it up your ass, sir. Could you do that? Rosie just finally had too much. How many spills can there be before a woman loses her mind? So, LeBron, you think you're the greatest. You've said it before. Michael never said it, and don't take my word for this. Let's listen to the words of both Michael Jordan and LeBron James on the topic.
For the best player in the world or in the history, I'm not saying that, because everybody plays differently in different eras.
If I was the GM of a franchise that was starting up and I had the number one pick, I'd take me.
Start comparing, who's the best of all time. I never can accept that role. There's a lot of old guys that influence my game.
That one right there made me the greatest player of all time. That's what I felt. Reasons. And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time.
If you care about being called the greatest basketball player ever, does that matter? Do you want that?
I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Will Chamberlain, Jerry West, all the guys that prior to me, I never had a chance to play against. When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because, it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows.
GOAT. What are you talking about? Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me, man. What I do, man?
Oddly enough, Michael, not the one who has gone there. But when you are the king, when you're the real king, and that is Michael Jordan, you don't need to say that you're the greatest. The only person who's the greatest who called himself the greatest all the time was Muhammad Ali. Most of the time when you're the greatest, you can just leave those accolades to other people who will say it for you. Remember, Bobby Knight famously said that Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player that he's ever seen before Michael Jordan had even played in an NBA game. That remains for me. That might be the greatest sports prediction of all time. And it came true. Look at this. If you want to see an argument in favor of Michael Jordan, as the greatest player of all time, if you're skeptical, if you require some convincing, only 4 times in the history of the National Basketball Association has a player led the league in scoring, won the MVP award, led the playoffs in scoring, won the playoff MVP award, and been first team all defensive. It's happened 4 times. Here's the career leaderboard. Michael Jordan 4, everybody else who ever lived, combined 0. So add up LeBron, Kobe, Wilt, whoever you got, whoever you like. None of them ever did it. Michael did it 4 times. So LeBron, understand, there are real problems with the NBA, and the people who observe them and see them are not the problem. Problem isn't that people are calling you out. The problem is the NBA has issues. And with that, let me go to a man who, I don't know, I suppose he has his own issues. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star who joins me once again from Nashville, Tennessee. Ronnie T-Shirts joins the program. And Ronnie, what do you make of the whole dust up here between LeBron and Stephen A?
LeBron doesn't care what people think, really? That might be the most incorrect thing he's ever said in his entire life. LeBron
That's always what people who care say, by the way.
He desperately cares what other people think.
That is always a go-to comment.
Yeah.
The minute somebody tells you that they don't care what anybody thinks, they've tipped their hand that they care what people think.
Man,
That's
desperately
been true
cares.
since forever.
Desperately cares what other people think. Like everything he does when he walks into when he's not playing and he walks into the arena, just how he's dressed. He's had wine on the sidelines of games when he's not playing. He always wants people looking at him. He desperately wants people to look at him. So for him to say that he doesn't care, I mean, that's just completely silly. That compilation of Jordan being asked about being the greatest and then LeBron, I've never seen that before. It's pretty powerful. One thing nobody mentioned was I don't believe he was held down and had Chosen One tattooed on him. LeBron James, he did that like when he was 18. So this has been a long time that LeBron has loved him some LeBron. He's just an anomaly, Ricky, because he is an athletic freak. Like he's so good at basketball, and what he's doing as a 40-year-old is mind-boggling. Like it really, really is. But then it's like he's almost smart, but he's not. He's almost smart, but he's not. He does it all the time. You're like, oh, LeBron's going to pontificate. This is going to be good. And then it's like, he missed. Seems like he does that an awful lot.
Yeah, look, the one thing he will never be, he's achieved just about everything in the game of basketball. All-time leading scorer, playing historically great basketball past the age of 40. He's got 4 rings. His legacy is as secure as a legacy can be, but the one thing that he'll never be is Michael Jordan. And deep down, he knows it. And that is always going to be a burr in his saddle because he knows that he's not Jordan, and he bristles at that comparison because he desperately wants to be seen as the greatest of all time. And guess what? As great as his career has been, it wasn't as good as Michael Jordan's. Ron, the other big thing that I suppose we need to go ahead and jump in on today, everybody talking about, I guess, the clash, the smackdown, however you want to refer to it, between Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, for that matter, at the White House. Am I the only one who thought about this, by the way, Ron? Take a look at this. I feel like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump must have slapped a little bit of Charles Bronson's mandamon that morning to have that kind of swagger that was on display there at the White House. I've heard that it smells like kicked asses. Ron, Charles Bronson, sandalwood, a little bit of leather, a little bit of maybe a little bit of kicked ass.
A little bruised skin. Smells like bruised skin.
I detect notes of bruised skin, but you don't detect any notes of hurt feelings. Look at that. Yeah. Tim saying in my ear, this is a product that you wouldn't see launched in 2025, probably. Be my best friend with Mandem. Look at that. How sweet is that? Charles Bronson wanted you to be his best
Speaking
friend.
of tattoos, man, I could see you getting that Mandem tattooed on you, that little logo, Mandem
that
underneath
logo.
It. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I will, Ron. Look, I think Zelensky's still feeling the tattoo of the foot on his ass that he got right in front of the world from Trump and Vance. And I want to go back and have a little flashback here, because for all the criticism, and of course there's a lot of criticism to go around with something like this happening. Trump and Vance are certainly getting a lot of it from the left. But I think that we should all remember this isn't the first time that a U.S. president has lost his patience with Zelensky. Let's recall when Joe Biden had the same issue.
During the course of the call,
Ukrainian
President Zelensky continued, according to a number of officials who we spoke with who are familiar with the call, President Zelensky continued to talk about the additional equipment and weapons and support that he and his military needed. According to these officials, they said that President Biden finally just got frustrated and lost his temper and told President Zelensky, look, you could be a little bit more grateful.
You could be a little bit more grateful. That sounds familiar, Ron.
Yeah, sounds like JD Vance.
A president who lost his patience and said you could be a little bit more grateful. The only difference is one of these incidents happened in public and one of them happened in private. Look, Zelensky. Let's just take a look at this. Did you see this thing that's gone viral, Ron? I don't even know I'm not even going to try to describe it. We can talk over it.
Oh, I sent that to you.
That is Zelensky, actually.
I mean, what do you even say, Ricky?
I think that if he had come to the White House and he had brought a little of that energy, maybe things would have gone better for him. What if he came in just dancing around, just like, I need some billions of your dollars?
Yeah, Ricky,
obviously he needed those cups on for maximum impact for diplomacy.
You talked about how the difference between what Biden said to him and what we saw was just that. Like, we got to see this happening, and it was so amazing to me. I mean, we had just finished the show a couple minutes before on Friday, and I called you. I'm like, dude, are you seeing this? And you're like, no, I'm on the way to the airport, but I'm getting texts from everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it was one of the craziest things I'd ever witnessed before. Like, it got to the point where I'm in my head thinking, is Zelensky going to take a swing at Trump right now? Because you could see he was just like, I thought to myself, what would happen if that happened? Like, it was contentious. Like, you could see Trump was annoyed. Like, I thought Vance was more kind of like stern fatherly, like, this is not the way to conduct yourself right now, young man. But Trump was just like the dad that's like, are you kidding me? And you could tell. And then Zelensky, of course, he's like, I'm going to bow up here. It was unreal. Like, my first instinct was to call you, and you're like, no, I'm in my car.
Yeah, no, it's like, I thought we were going to have a pull apart for the first time ever at the White House. But I mean, you know, JD, it's easy to forget. He's this author and, well-spoken guy. He's a fucking Marine.
Yeah.
JD Vance.
Well,
I think
he's
some
a Buckeye.
of that Marine energy was
Don't forget
in.
He's a Buckeye.
Well, nobody's perfect, Ron. Nobody's perfect. JD Vance can't check every box. Take a look at this, Ron. You know, Frisbee used to be awfully popular. My kids and I like to get out and throw the Frisbee around occasionally when the weather is allowing for it. But take a look at this. Pro Frisbee was a thing in the 70s for a while, believe it or not. There was also a pro putt-putt golf tour.
Well, I love that.
That had its own magazine.
I loved that.
But, yeah, I'm still amazed. Pro Frisbee never caught on with studs like this guy leading the way. That's Super Frizz.
You think we could sell any Super Frizz t-shirts?
Well, we don't do the ringer tees. I mean, you know, the baseball, the Raglan.
Oh, the Raglan. Yeah, the Raglan.
Yeah, it's the Raglan is what it is. So, all right. Well, that was a moment for us to cleanse our palate there and think a little bit about Frisbee. Here's another day, another mayor of a blue city making news. Ron, did you hear about this incident where there was I guess a deranged person? I don't have any more details than that at this moment, who chased some people, I guess, from a Chipotle into a Chick-fil-A in Boston. So happened that there was an off-duty Boston cop in the Chick-fil-A getting ready to enjoy some delicious Jesus chicken, and he intervened and shot and killed the would-be murderer who was chasing these people around wielding a knife. Right? Now,
yeah, he was trying to. Yeah.
Now that in and of itself, you hear that story, you think, well, thank God that the off-duty cop was there.
How fortunate, right? How fortunate.
Yeah. Well, that's not necessarily the spin that Boston Mayor Michelle Wu is putting on things. Let's listen to how she and the DA and the police commissioner all chose to handle this in speaking to the assembled media.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of the individual who's been lost.
So our condolences go to the individual who was killed tonight.
What the fuck is wrong here? What the fuck is wrong here? Look, I'm sorry on a certain human level. You know, the loss of anybody's life is, you know, sad to a point. But for that to be the reaction that you're going to come out when somebody was trying to kill innocent people, and it's like they're fucking apologizing for this.
It's not even the fact that the mayor came out and said that. It was clearly somebody in their office gave everybody talking points first. Like, that's embarrassing.
They were all instructed to say this. And this right here is part and parcel of why this past election cycle went the way that it went. And it's part and parcel of the cultural shift that we're seeing happen in this country. People have had enough of things that just don't make sense. Donald Trump talked about the common sense revolution. I use that same phrase on this show as well. It's sad when common sense becomes revolutionary. It really is indicative that you've really gotten lost in the weeds as a culture. But it's part of the reason that the mayor of Chicago, all right, a far lefty mayor in a deep blue lefty city, is at 6.6% right now because he can't even please the people who elected him. And I knew that him getting elected was a bad idea. All right, let's go to a former mayor of Chicago, one who definitely was better than Lightfoot or Johnson by a number of magnitudes, whatever issues you might have with him. I'm referring to Rahm Emanuel, who was on Bill Maher and tackled the issue of where Dem mayors have failed in big cities?
There is a general rule. I had this when I was mayor. Safe streets, strong schools, stable finances. Focus on those three things and your city's going to be fine. We've gone through 5 years where people became way too permissive of a culture. They were all, which is why everything's locked up at Walgreens and CVS, and that is a disaster.
Yeah.
And our school, and I'll say this about our schools. I don't want to hear another word about the locker room. I don't want to hear another word about the bathroom. You better start focusing on the classroom. We had the worst reading scores for 8th graders in 30 years. And nobody, not a governor, not a mayor, not a president, not a secretary of education is talking about it. We're all wrapped up. Look, in 7th grade, if I known that I could have said the word they and got in the girls' bathroom, I would have done it.
Well, Ron might have to hand in his Democratic membership card after saying something that makes that much sense. But what he said about the culture becoming more permissive, Ron, the culture becoming more not just permissive of crime, but that's a huge part of it. The idea that they've reduced penalties for criminals and then they wonder why crime goes up. You reduce the penalty. They basically in many cities, San Francisco among, they invited people to shoplift. They said, here, please come and shoplift, loot these stores. They have to lock everything up. What did you think was going to happen? What did they think was going to happen? So permissive in terms of really encouraging crime, permissive in terms of things like, it's like if you're fat, if you weigh I'm talking about like if you're like super obese to the point that you are really, fucking up your lifespan. Right? Somebody that's 400 pounds or whatever. Now it's like, well, they're brave. They're beautiful. It's really all right. No, it's not all right. That person you're doing them harm. You can tell people that they're okay to the point that you harm them. If somebody is 400 pounds, no, they need to be told that, look, you need to eat better. You need to start exercising. You need to make some lifestyle adjustments or you're going to have a very, very bad outcome. And that is the thing that's actually compassionate. Taking criminals and putting them in jail, putting them in prison where necessary, that is the thing that is actually compassionate to our society, to our citizens. If somebody thinks that they're a fucking, owl, I remember Ron years ago going to some school thing that one of my stepkids had, and there was a student there giving a presentation on otherkins. You know what an otherkin is, Ron?
No.
Otherkins are people who identify, who believe that somehow they possess. I'm not speaking for them. This is how I understand it as a sane man. They believe that they're another animal. So that like they identify as, there was a girl there and she said, I identify as an owl.
Okay.
And I said, who? And she said, as an owl. And I said, who? Who? She said, me. That's who. Are we doing people a favor when we say that that's okay? Do you want to mainstream that? Remember how we went from male and female to like 3,900 genders? There's like the whole spectrum of everything. I'm a pansexual, gender fluid wildebeest or whatever, where it just became so, but you got it, but to be a good person, everybody on the left decided that you just got to pretend that that's brave and that's, oh, well, how brave. You live your truth, pansexual, gender fluid wildebeest. We're all with you. At a certain point, we got to rein it in. California is doubling down on the crazy Ron, which I'm sure isn't going to surprise you, but take a look at this. They actually have a new bill in California proposed by Democrats, of course. It's proposed by Democrats. AB 1333 would remove the right to self-defense if somebody breaks into your home, or at least would call into question the proportionality of said self-defense. Take a look at this language here. You can't see the entire thing here because we can't expand this, but there we go. I guess we can expand it. Thank you. I don't have the best production staff in the business for nothing, friends. This bill, if you look at the part that's highlighted here, this bill would eliminate certain circumstances under which homicide is justifiable, including, among others, in defense of a habitation or a property. I want to finish this sentence. The bill would additionally clarify circumstances in which homicide is not justifiable, including, among others, when a person uses more force than necessary to defend against a danger. Ron, we talked on this program before. I forget where the location was, but the idea of putting it into law. Somebody breaks into your house, but if they break into your house and you shoot them and kill them, and it turns out that they weren't carrying a gun or whatever, they were just coming into your bedroom at 3 a.m.
Yeah, just
that you could actually be the one who gets in trouble for that.
So I think what they want you to do is when somebody breaks into your house, when somebody breaks into your house, you just have to kind of ask them like, hey, before we either one of us do anything, what's your purpose for breaking into my house, fine sir? Do you have a weapon?
And while you're asking them that question, they put 4 bullet holes in your chest.
Correct. Correct.
You know, what happened to shoot first and ask questions later? Because the thing of it is like I got my door locked at night, okay? If I encounter you in my house in the middle of the night, you broke in, okay? Correct. You break into my house in the middle of the night. It used to be a very common sense principle that if I put a bullet in your head, everybody understands that I did what I had to do to protect myself and to protect. It's not, what kind of touchy-feely, insane nonsense is this? Do they want you to go downstairs and be an amateur counselor for this person? What problems did you have in your youth that led you to feel? Are you hungry? Have Republican policies somehow put you in a place where you can't feed your family, and now breaking in, you poor thing, is the only thing you can do? I say send them to McPrison for life, Ron. Lock them up and throw away the McKey. Is what I say, Ron. I hereby sentence you to life in McPrison. May the Lord have mercy on your soul. That's the kind of justice that I can get behind, Ron.
The Ricky Cobb show.
I'm just telling you, it invites crime. How can you argue that kind of stupid, wrong-headed, idiotic policy being put forth by college graduates, by the way, people who are allegedly educated and smart, what is the motive behind telling somebody that, hey, be careful how you retaliate? Can you imagine somebody breaks into your fucking home and you hesitate to do what needs to be done, and then they end up killing you, and then somebody goes and rapes and kills your wife or your daughter or whatever because you were afraid to defend yourself because of some idiot fucking law like this? California is a great state, and it's being ruined by absolute morons. My great pleasure to welcome back to the program this morning a Major League All-Star World Series champion, a man with over 2,700 base hits, over 400 stolen bases during his great career. Johnny Damon joins the show. Johnny, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me again. Everything's been going great on my end, and I hope so for you as well.
Well, thank you, Johnny. Let me jump right in here and ask you, because you shaved the beard since you were on the show last time. We were kind of twinning last time. This is a little bit more the New York Yankees, Johnny Damon, a little Kansas City Royals look there. Yes. I see that you got the hair pulled back. What do you make of the Yankees finally allowing beards? They're finally going soft here on that standard. First of all, tell me, what was it like for you going there and having to adhere to the Yankees policy? And then what do you think about them loosening it all these years later?
Yeah, well, it's definitely their choice what they want to have. I know they probably won't let them have long hair and beard like you, but I think the couple days scruff. I had a appearance the other day at George Steinbrenner Field, and just for my respect for the boss, I shaved when I went there. It's something that I always do when I have a appearance for the Yankees. I shave and make sure that I abide by the rules that Mr. Steinbrenner wanted because he was your boss. He paid your salary, and he was such a great boss. So I just still have that respect, especially for the tradition of the Yankees and putting on the pinstripes. And so I'm going to continue to clean up when I have my appearances with the Yankees, but I know it's not as, you don't have to clean up as much, but I'm going to always try to do my best.
Well, Johnny, George Steinbrenner, what was your relationship like with Steinbrenner? Because I mean, that's an impressive level of respect. That all these years later, it still means that much to you, the Yankees, and being a part of that culture, that you actually still feel that way. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with Mr. Steinbrenner.
Well, it was fantastic. When they signed me in 2006, I had a meeting with the boss, Mr. Steinbrenner, and he told me he always wanted me. He wished they would have signed me in the winter of 2001 to play ball for them. And unfortunately, things did not work out. And I started to talk to him about boats because that was his big industry growing up and also for a long time. So being from Florida, I am a very big water guy, so big boat guy. And we discussed boats for 20 minutes, and he had a big smile on his face, and I was so proud to be able to get him his help to get his last championship. And he was the best. It reminds me a lot of Donald Trump. He wants the best out of everybody, and he definitely got the best out of me.
Well, Johnny, you mentioned President Trump. You and Trump have a relationship, as I understand it, that goes back to 20 years or more. Can you tell me a little bit about how you met Donald Trump and what the nature of your friendship with him has been through the years?
Yeah, so I'm getting ready to sign with or go to spring training with the Yankees. And right before every season, I like to take my wife on a fantastic trip somewhere. We were planning on going to Mayacopal, Mexico, and spend 3 or 4 days there before the grind of the season. 8 months, pretty much committed to trying to win a championship. So I get a call from Donald Trump's team, and they asked me if I wanted to join them in Palm Beach to have a golf tournament because he did have that golf show on the Golf Channel years ago, and it was going to be Derek Lowe and I representing Boston, and David Wright and Donald Trump representing New York. So we had a nice televised, fun day out, and it was amazing. He was funny, charismatic, always to the point, always steps ahead of everybody, and all of his golf courses are top notch. I mean, he brings in the top talent, so the guests and the members are taken care of. So, I mean, that's what Donald Trump wants. He wants everyone to go out there and bring their A game every single day.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.